Have you ever wondered why some places are shrouded in darkness and mystery? What if a house, hidden deep within a dark forest, held secrets so terrifying that even the bravest souls wouldn't dare to enter? Tonight, we explore the eerie tale of Whispering Pines, a house where three gruesome murders took place years ago. What happened in that house, and why do its walls still whisper the chilling secrets of its past? Brace yourself for a journey into the unknown, but beware, you might find yourself looking over your shoulder long after the video ends. Whispering Pines sat alone in the heart of an ancient, sprawling forest. The trees, tall and gnarled, seemed to lean inwards, casting long, shadowy fingers over the house. The locals spoke of the forest with a mixture of fear and respect, calling it a place where light and hope never dared to tread. Years ago, a wealthy family built the house as a retreat from city life. It was supposed to be a sanctuary, a place of peace. But that peace was shattered one stormy night when the unthinkable happened. Three people were brutally murdered within its walls. Their killer was never found, and the house was abandoned, left to the whispers of the forest and the shadows of its past. After the murders, the house quickly gained a sinister reputation. Those who ventured too close spoke of hearing strange whispers carried by the wind, as if the trees themselves were speaking. The whispers told of sorrow, betrayal, and unimaginable terror. They called it Whispering Pines, and the name stuck. No one dared to live in the house again. It stood empty, a dark silhouette against the sky, its windows staring like hollow eyes. Even in the bright light of day, a sense of dread hung over it. At night, the whispers grew louder, more insistent, as if the very walls were trying to tell their terrible story. One fateful evening, three friends decided to explore the old house. Alex, Jamie, and Chris had heard the stories and, driven by curiosity, wanted to see if the rumors were true. As they approached the house, the air grew colder and an unnatural silence fell over the forest. The whispers seemed to grow louder, beckoning them closer. They stood at the edge of the property, staring at the darkened structure. Jamie, the boldest of the group, stepped forward and pushed open the creaking gate. "Are you sure about this?" Chris asked, his voice trembling. Alex nodded, though his heart pounded in his chest. They had come too far to turn back now. Entering the house felt like stepping into another world. The air was thick and musty, filled with the scent of decay. Dust coated every surface and cobwebs hung from the ceiling like dark, shrouded curtains. The whispers seemed to follow them, growing louder with each step they took. The living room was the first place they explored. Old furniture lay scattered, and the fireplace, long cold, gaped like a dark mouth. As they moved through the rooms, they noticed strange symbols carved into the walls and floors, adding to the house's eerie atmosphere. In the kitchen, they found a table set for dinner, as if the inhabitants had just stepped away. Plates covered in dust, glasses still half full of murky liquid. It was as if time had frozen on that terrible night. A shiver ran down Alex's spine as he imagined the terror that had unfolded here. As they explored deeper into the house, the whispers grew more distinct, almost forming words. "Get out," they seemed to say, but the friends pressed on, drawn by a mix of fear and fascination. In the upstairs hallway, they found the first signs of the past violence, dark stains on the floor and walls, remnants of the tragedy that had taken place. Suddenly, a cold breeze swept through the hall, even though all the windows were shut. Jamie turned to say something, but her voice caught in her throat. At the end of the hallway, a shadowy figure stood, watching them with hollow, empty eyes. Panic gripped the friends as the figure began to move towards them. They backed away, hearts racing, but the whispers filled their minds, drowning out their thoughts. "Leave now," the voices urged, but it was too late. They were trapped in the house's grip, unable to escape the horrors that awaited them. The shadowy figure was not alone. More appeared, emerging from the walls and floors, their ghostly forms flickering like dying flames. These were the spirits of the murdered, trapped in the house, forever bound by their violent end. They reached out to the friends, their faces twisted in anguish and rage. The friends stumbled into the master bedroom, desperate to escape the apparitions. In the center of the room stood an old, ornate bed, covered in a thick layer of dust. On the nightstand they found an old journal, its pages yellowed with age. With shaking hands, Alex opened it and began to read. The journal belonged to the family's patriarch. It detailed a life of wealth and privilege, but also of dark secrets and deep resentment. The final entries spoke of fear of an unknown threat, a sense of being watched, and the creeping terror that had invaded their lives. The last, hastily written words told of the night the murders happened. "They're here," the entry read. "We cannot escape them." As Alex read, the room grew colder and the whispers intensified. The friends could feel an unseen force closing in on them, pressing against their minds and filling them with dread. They had to leave the house, but the spirits seemed to be everywhere, their ghostly forms flickering in and out of sight. Jamie clutched Alex's arm, her voice shaking. "We need to get out of here now." In a state of rising panic, the friends hurried down the hallway, their footsteps echoing off the walls. The shadows seemed to stretch and warp around them, the figures reaching out with spectral hands. The whispers grew louder, filling their ears with an unbearable cacophony of grief and rage. In their frantic search for an escape, they found themselves at the top of a narrow staircase leading down to the basement. The air was even colder here, and a sense of malevolence hung in the darkness below. But they had no choice. The spirits blocked every other path. "Quick, down here," Alex urged, leading the way into the darkness. The stairs creaked under their weight, each step amplifying their fear. The basement was a maze of old furniture, forgotten relics, and shadows that seemed to move of their own accord. At the far end of the basement, they found a heavy wooden door, its surface scarred and splintered. It looked ancient, as if it had been there long before the house was built. Jamie pushed it open, revealing a small, dimly lit chamber beyond. Inside the chamber, they discovered what appeared to be an old shrine. The walls were covered in symbols and carvings that pulsed with a faint, eerie glow. At the center stood a stone altar, upon which lay a collection of strange artifacts, old coins, rusted knives, and small, weathered figurines. Chris stepped forward, his eyes wide with fear and fascination. "What is this place?" he whispered, his voice barely audible over the now muted whispers. Alex, still holding the journal, flipped to the last page. There, scrawled in frantic handwriting, were the final words of the patriarch. "The evil cannot be contained. It must be destroyed." As if in response to the words, a low, rumbling growl filled the chamber. The walls trembled, and the symbols glowed brighter, casting a sinister light on the friends' terrified faces. From the shadows, a dark, shapeless form began to emerge, growing larger and more defined with each passing second. The friends backed away, their eyes fixed on the malevolent entity that now filled the room. It was as if all the darkness and rage of the house had coalesced into a single, horrifying presence. Its eyes burned with an unnatural fire, and its form seemed to shift and change, never settling on a single shape. "We have to destroy it," Alex shouted over the growl, pointing to the artifacts on the altar. "These must be connected to it somehow." In a desperate bid to save themselves, the friends began to grab the artifacts, throwing them to the ground and smashing them with whatever they could find. Each item destroyed caused the entity to wail in agony, its form flickering and weakening. Jamie found an old iron poker and used it to break one of the figurines. Chris shattered a rusted knife against the stone floor. With each act of destruction, the entity seemed to lose more of its power, its growls turning into pained howls. But as the last artifact was destroyed, the chamber shook violently, and the entity let out a final, ear-splitting scream. The walls cracked, and pieces of the ceiling began to fall. The friends raced back up the stairs, the house collapsing around them. They burst through the front door just as the house began to cave in. They stumbled down the steps and into the yard, watching in horror as Whispering Pines was swallowed by the earth, the once proud structure now reduced to rubble and dust. The forest fell silent. The whispers were gone, replaced by the eerie stillness of the night. The friends stood in stunned silence, their hearts racing, as the reality of what they had just survived began to sink in. In the days that followed, the friends tried to make sense of their experience. They had escaped the malevolent force that had haunted Whispering Pines, but the memory of that night lingered, casting a long shadow over their lives. The house was gone, but the forest still held its secrets. Locals whispered that the evil had not been destroyed, only buried, waiting for the day when it would rise again. The friends vowed never to return, but they couldn't shake the feeling that something had followed them, a dark presence that lingered just out of sight. And so, the story of Whispering Pines comes to an end, for now. The house may be gone, but its dark legacy lives on, a reminder of the horrors that can lurk in the shadows of our world. If this story sent chills down your spine, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more spine-tingling tales. Leave a comment below. Have you ever encountered something that defied explanation? What's the scariest place you've ever visited? Let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay safe and keep the lights on. Thank you for watching.